Hi, I'd like to talk about the stoves I've made up for use with my zebra billy can and a Stanley adventure cook pot, I think it's called, which I recently got and that I've been trying out in the house making brews. Both of these stoves are cheap as chips, cost nothing but your time to make because they're made from readily available cans. They're multi-fuel because you can burn wood in them, or you can burn solid fuel tablets, or you can use alcohol burners in them. I use a Trangia burner myself because it gives me more control when cooking. If I just want to boil water, then I use a simple cat can stove which has cat food in it, which is dead simple and works very well. I use, well, you'll see the things I use to fill it up. With that I can just do a quick brew up for a single cup of coffee and leave the Trangia for when I want to cook more substantial meals. Right, I'll get them out and show you them. I've done some mods as well to the zebra billy can, which I think you might find, those of you who've got them might find worthwhile doing yourself if you haven't already done something similar. Right, I'll just lay the camera down on the tripod and get the stuff out. Right, camera bag. That's my other little poncho, the lightweight one, which I always carry with me. It has grommets in and everything, which I can make it into a shelter. Good old cig bottle that's nearly 50 years old now. I'm going to make a brew later on, so I've got a bit of milk and coffee there. Here's the first stove I made. I've been using this for several years now. It's the popular zebra billy can, ever popular with bushcrafters. I got it out in Malaysia back in 2009, before they became really popular. But anyway, there it is. This strap I've got running through, as you can see, I've taken the handle off, and this strap I've got running through is for an old bicycle pedal toe clip. Very handy strap, but as you can see, it secures it. The door on the front is so I can either use it to feed wood, or made from a single malt whiskey case, as you can see. So I can feed it with wood or fuel when there's a pot already on it, and also I can adjust the Trangia in there if I want to use it for simmering, or snuff it and put it out, and lighting of course as well. Right, let's take this one apart. As you can see, the stove itself is dirt simple, just a few holes. The other thing that this does with the Trangia is there's no need to carry a windshield, because when it's used with the Trangia it's flat on the surface of the deck. The only air that can get in is there, and the flame's above it, so it just feeds the flame more with the door closed and the pot resting inside. I haven't brought any tent stakes with me because I'm not going to use this stove, but normally I have tent stakes through there to support the pot, so it's also getting heat up the side as well as the bottom, so it heats up quicker as well. Right, the actual billy itself. In here you can see I've got, those of you familiar with the mini Trangia will know that this is a handle from one, which is where the Trangia burner came from. The mini Trangia, the aluminium in it, has got pitted over the years and what have you, so, and I prefer using stainless steel. I know it's heavier, but it's easier to keep clean, etc., and I prefer it. This is now 5 years old and it's still rock solid. These are clipped on, modification, little modification there, a couple of key rings, and with that modification we can clip on so it's held there solid for use. The little syringe is for things flopping about here. Crib sheet there. The little syringe is for putting measured amounts of spirit. It comes from an ink printer cartridge refill thing, and I find it very useful because in here is a little cat stove which I used to making single brews, and with that I can just one squirt of that, or maybe a squirt and a half, the full one, is plenty to boil a cup of water up. So you just let it burn out and you're not wasting fuel. These weigh absolutely nothing and take about 5 minutes to make, 5 to 10 minutes at the most. So they're great. The other thing I've noticed about these, of course, for them to work properly you've got to have your pot placed on so the flames jet out the side. So what I did was I noticed that a paint tin lid works so that you can actually put it on there and use it without a pot on top of it inside the windshield. So, and that will keep the flames jetting out whilst the pot is placed at a more optimum height above it. In the other things I have in here is a magnet which works on the trangia lid for when I'm inside. Very handy for the snuff lid on the trangia especially, and also if you're out camping, if you drop something metallic in the grass you can't find it, it's very handy for feeling about, like your keys or something like that. The other thing I've got here, can openers, little handle for the ability to replace the one I've taken off it, just out of coat hanger wire which just clips in. Away you go. Another little mod, a spoon, put a little lash bending like that, and you can slot that over the end. The other thing it comes in handy for is when these get hot, if you're on a fire or stove, so you just use that as a lid. Yeah. And as I say, that can just sort of lid there, ready for stirring, etc. The other thing I've got in here is when I'm actually burning wood in here, which I do quite often, I need to get air in there, and plus the fact I want to stop it burning the ground if I can. So what I do is 3 bulldog clips fixed to the base, like so, roughly equally, and that's nice and solid. Plenty of air can get underneath, and because it's on 3 legs it's always has a point of contact with the ground so it doesn't wobble about. Right, I think that's just about it. Little spork, quite handy when I go backpacking. That and the trusty Swiss Army knife is the only cutlery I need. You don't need special cutlery or anything. Right, what else have we got? Right, I'll just pause this and put this away and then I'll get the other one out. The other thing I forgot to mention was you use a metal or stainless steel cup like I do. I've taken the handle off this one, but for gripping I found that these little silicone charity bands work well for holding it, insulating it from the hot liquid inside, and also guard your lips when you're drinking when it's really hot. Just a little mod that if you've got some charity wristbands lying around, what they could be used for. The other thing I forgot to mention before I do move on is that I sprayed this with high temperature stove paint or exhaust paint you can get from car parts suppliers, so it helps stop it rusting. As you can see, I've used this for 3 or 4 years and it's still in good nick, so it's worthwhile preserving. If you've taken the trouble to make something, you want it to last as long as possible. even if they are cheap as chips to make. The Stanley Adventure Cook Pot. This is a chili can. This other one was made from a storage type canister with a lid, which I've ditched the lid, but this one is just from a can which had some chili in. 5 minutes with a few holes, etc, etc. Right, so if you unclip the lid, there we go, and take off this real elastic band, it secures it. I haven't got round to painting this one with the hot stuff. As you can see, I've been using that with the Trangia, and there's very little sooting, just some discoloration. I haven't wiped it clean or anything. I've tried letting it down with a 9:1 ratio mix of mess and water, and I've noticed no difference in heating times or negligible difference, and it's worked well with a lot less sooting. Right, so that's that bit so far. The stove itself is just, as you can see, holes in the bottom again, regularly spot, which I've just marked out roughly freehand, and you'll notice there are holes here. Right. The reason being is this is used to contain candy or boiled sweets, which you get in the UK. I don't know if you can get them around the world, I assume you can, and it fits just nicely inside. And when I've flattened the rim down with a pair of pliers, I found that would slot inside it nicely as well. When it had the rim in it, it wouldn't. Now the reason I've got that coat hanger supports, where a coat hanger fit inside, is so that can slot on there. So if I'm using wood in it, it's got plenty of underfloor, but I've got an ash pan underneath to catch any falling stuff onto the ground. So again, I don't burn the ground because this dissipates the heat. Right, now then, these supports, the other thing you can do with this, if you want to use an alcohol burner in it, you can also, and get it higher up, you can also put that the other way up inside. But it works well like this, and with the alcohol burner, so I'm just going to keep it like that. There we go, there's one in. I'll put the other one in afterwards. In here we have the old Trangia burner. That, believe it or not, that's over 20 years old. The reason why it's in this stick is because I regularly sort of keep it clean and give it a squirt of WD-40. There's a slight mod there I've done for doing the simmering, which makes it life easier. Again, as I said before, the magnetic will help me put that on and off when the burner's down in here. I can't reach down obviously, so I can just snuff it out with that. In here, a lot of people have cobbed these away, but I think they're very good, these cups. Normally I would only carry one anyway, but I've just put two in because hey, you can carry little items to make food a bit more palatable when you're camping. There's a bit of paprika and garlic, but that could have salt and pepper or whatever inside it. Plus these work well. I think they must be double skinned because the outside just gets mildly warm when you've got a very hot drink inside it, and keeps it hot for longer. So the well, they are insulated, no doubt about it. So that's why I've kept them. Right, I'll just pause while I fill it. It's empty at the moment, so I'll just fill it up and I'll bung it in and I'll show you it in use. I've filled it up now using that, using a 9 squirts to 1 of water. So we've got a mix in there of mess, mess or denatured alcohol is I don't know if it works with denatured alcohol, never tried it, but might be one for the US lads to try. And also, using this little syringe as a good measuring device, it's also handy to just lay a bit of fuel around the edges. So when you light it, it helps to heat up faster and prime. Right, so now I'm just going to place this in the shield. Again, it's quite windy today. It's the first time I've tried it outside, so I don't know how well it's going to go in the wind, but I think it'll be okay. Put the other pot support in. Oh, that's worth mentioning as well. If you do make these pot supports like this, make sure that you put a little downward bend in them so that they don't spin round and come out. Yeah. I've already put my water in here out of the sig bottle, so that's ready to go. Find a lighter. Yeah, we're in. Just let it get going. These are very handy. They're not sharp, so you're not in danger. These little fillers for the replacement inkjet cartridges, instead of being ripped off by the manufacturer's silly prices. And that needle can be stored in there so that it can't jab you or anything. Right, I think we're going nicely. Now, as you notice, this is very narrow at the bottom, so if you are cooking in food in these, you have to stir it regularly because it can burn so easily in the bottom. This having a setup like this also helps because it's heating the sides as well, so it's heating more evenly. But anyway, right, so as you can see, I'm in there now with about a 1/4 of an inch gap all the way around, so the heat is escaping up the sides. It is quite windy today. Well, let's say at least a 5 mile an hour breeze, 2 to 5 mile an hour breeze, and the flame is unaffected. I'll just show you that. The flame's steady away in there, so what's the point in carrying a windshield when you can have something like this, is my reasoning, and you can use it to burn wood in as well. Yeah. Right. I'll pause it now while it boils. It normally takes about 4 minutes. Here we are at the boil. I'll just take that off. As you can see, with the water in, it's little or no sooting. And the other advantage of this system is any that does get on there and any muck inside is contained inside there, so it doesn't transfer to your pack. Right, we'll just put it out. Obviously I have an extendable one. There we go, and she's out. The other good thing about the Stanley cook pot is these little holes, vent holes, so you can strain stuff off if you're cooking pasta or rice in it. But for most part, I would use this system for going on shorter journeys where I want to be moving on fairly quickly, and this, the other zebra really, for when I'm staying at a place for a few days perhaps, and I'm making, rather than dried food, I'm making my food up fresh for chilies or bolognese or whatever, you know, in that. So that's the reason why I've got the two systems and why I'm plumb for getting one of these. Plus it takes up less room in the pack if I'm carrying a small pack. Right, so the coffee and milk's already in there. Normally I take fresh coffee with me as well, and I make cowboy coffee up. Basically you put the grounds in the bottom, put a little more water in than you would use in a cup, bring the water to the boil, add the coffee, then simmer it for about 30 seconds or so for a little heat, take it off and then let it cool gradually, and the grounds will sink to the bottom. Then you can just pour off the coffee and leave the grounds in the bottom. Works perfectly well, and I usually have my coffee that way. I just bought some some milk and coffee already mixed up in this just for convenience today. Right, so that's about it. I hope you found this helpful, and I'm going to sit and enjoy my cup of coffee and be unsociable and have my cigarette. Cheers for now.